Help, my cousin's a loser. He is renting from me, but won't pay the bills. What do I do? If you have a family member or just a friend that is in one of your rental properties and you're having trouble collecting rent from them, but you don't want to damage the family by saying get out and create a legal issue where you're brother against brother, brother against cousin, friend against friend, we're going to cover that topic and say, how can we find a win-win situation to be able to resolve this today? That's going to be our topic. If you are new to the channel, thank you. We appreciate you. We would love to hear from you, so please give us a comment below, give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. It does help us out in creating more content and getting this out there for you guys. But let's get into it. Okay, so here's the scenario. We got a cousin that's renting a property. That cousin has fallen on hard times. So they're not paying the rent. You want to do, quote unquote, the right thing, help them out, make some space for your cousin. So you do. The problem is, years later, in this particular example, 6 years later, your cousin's still on hard times. And so you go, well, at what point are those hard times going to continue? And am I just supposed to carry this property that I can't make any money on because I have a family member in it? This is a lesson my son has talked to me about because he's a landlord, and he said, well, what do you do when people can't pay? And the reality is what people can get away with, they will continuously. So help where you can, but you also have to create clear lines and a barrier to be able to move that thing forward. So that's what we came up with in this situation. So in this particular situation, there was some equity in the house that was going to be shared between two family members. And so they wanted to get that equity, but the individual wasn't even able to make the payments. And they felt this was a perpetual situation. So what did they do? So one of the things that can be done, and this is what was recommended, is you do an evaluation on what the property's worth. You get a home inspection, repair anything that needs to be repaired. When you have those two things, we put the property on the market. When the property gets an offer, obviously they're not going to want a tenant in there who doesn't pay. So what ended up happening is the opportunity was to take a section of what they were going to make on that property and go ahead and help find a rental for the family member. But if they're not paying here, why are they going to pay somewhere else? Was the challenge. How do you deal with this? And we said, well, if we take the funds and we prepay the entire lease, pay it on the front end. Now there is no monthly rent. You can find a landlord. You might even be able to get a discount on the rent depending on what the rental market looks like in your area. They now have 12 months to live rent-free. You've removed them from your property. They're in some other property. You didn't have to co-sign because you basically just funded the rental, and now you're able to move on. So that's one creative solution to being able to do that. Now, if you happen to not like this individual, they're not your friend anymore, or they're a family member that you don't want, obviously you're left with opportunities of eviction. But this was a cooperative way to find a win-win situation to be able to move them into a different transitional period, give them another 12 months to get back on their feet, knowing full well that they would have rent to be able to get there. So that's one way to handle it. It was one of the creative solutions. Obviously, you guys might go, well, we could evict, we could continue to pay. There's all kinds of other options, but I wanted to give you something that was a little out of the box that might have created a win-win scenario for those people on this. And again, so this was out of state. Obviously, it's subject to the laws in the existing state that you can do some of these things. In this particular instance, it did work. They did not get a discount on the annual rent. And that person did get back on their feet, and actually they don't live there anymore, but they did pick up and were able to make those payments. So when you can find a win-win situation, even though you feel like you're on the back end of this, that might be something that that you can sleep good at night. And now you have your asset back that you can sell and make money. In this particular instance, they did. Or if you were just going to pay that money out of pocket without actually selling the property, then you could turn around and rent it out and make it cash flow. So that's it for today. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. We would love to hear comments from you. What did you learn? What did you already know? Do you have another solution? We'd love to hear some creative ideas on how to create win-win situations with friends and family members when you get business and it starts to clash. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.